everyone. We're back to record another session here of learning how to use Summit, the tool to replace your financial spreadsheets with actual models that you can build from these building blocks called events. And in previous episodes, we kind of looked over everything from beginning to end. First, we dove into retention curves and pricing plans, so definitely check those out if you're just joining us. In this episode, I wanted to cover specifically sales, so sales that involve a pipeline, as opposed to just self-serve organic traffic, or rather organic traffic that just checks out the credit card. And I also wanted to improve our modeling a little bit by adding additional retention curves for some of the revenue plans that we have. So just a reminder, this business, which I just called Hummingly, it's a music startup, let's call it. Just starting out, it does have some traction, so I can view the model that we built before, starting here at $3,000 a month in revenue. And within 11 months, it's at $26,000 in revenue, according to this forecast. One of the things that I did do since the other videos is I went into the customer area, and I imagine this company is a little bit older now. So we're 4 months in, and the first month we had one customer. That would have been June. In July, we have, actually, let me say this differently. As of today, and that's what this means. This is actually key takeaway. As of today, we have one customer remaining from the customers that signed up in June. We have 5 remaining from those that signed up in July. That's what this 5 means, and this 1. From the customers that signed up in August, we have 10. And from those that signed up in September, we have 14. So these are my layers, my cohorts of customers that are subscribing to the product. And if I click one of these, let's just look at the most recent one for September. You can see how I have those 14 customers defined, and I've split them into buckets by the subscription plan that they're subscribed to. So if you take all of those 14 that signed up, in this case, this month, or almost at the end of September as I'm recording this, 30% of those 14 are on the bronze tier, 10% on the gold tier, and 60% on the silver tier. Now, doing a demo here, so actually, if you think about those percentages, don't quite work out to whole numbers, which is a little weird. So 10% of 14 would be 1.4, but you get the idea. The way this would actually work is it would end up rounding. So if you want to have a whole number here, you need to be more exact with these percentages, just a word of caution. But for this video, simple 30, 10, 60 split. And this is my now customer base that you can see in this model. So it's why I start out with 36 subscribers, and I'm earning $3,214 a month. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to improve our forecasting a little bit. You can see here on the right-hand side, I've got my goals. I'm at $26,000 in revenue a month by the end of the forecast. But I've got a goal of $83,000, which is that nice round $1 million mark. And I'm going to improve this forecast by going into retention. And right now I just have one retention curve for all of my customers. And you can see how it's, a pretty big drop off here in terms of who's still subscribing after 3 years. So what I want to do now is, rather than just have one for the entire customer base, I want to split this out into separate retention curves for each tier. So I'm going to do that by just first closing this one that I was editing, and I'm going to say add a retention curve. And this one's going to be for my gold subscription tier. And what you'll notice usually in a SaaS business is people who pay more actually tend to have better retention, which maybe is counterintuitive, but I think we all kind of know that at this point that your largest customers, if it's an operational product, have a greater dependency on it. And so rather than this fair retention that we have here, I'm actually going to improve the retention long-term to what's called strong, okay? And I'm going to hit save. And now just as a reminder what this means, looking out here to 3 years from now, this 53 that's at the top right-hand corner of this chart, that's 53% of the customers that sign up are still with you after 3 years if they subscribe to that gold tier. And so what I'm going to do now is create another one for our bronze tier, which is the lowest one. And let me just change this drop down here. So if our average is fair plus, then maybe our bronze tier is maybe even a little worse than that. So I'm going to say it's fair and then fair on this end. Actually, I'm going to keep this one fair plus, and I'm going to drop the long-term retention just a little bit. And then I'm going to create that silver tier. And now obviously in this case, I'm just winging it effectively. I'm painting pictures here with these drop downs, but You can get the exact retention out of your subscription data if you use a tool like Stripe or Baremetrics or ChartMogul or Profitwell. You can get retention or cohort-based retention data out of that. If not, if you're become a subscriber to Summit, we can also figure this out based on your Stripe data. So lastly, we're going to do the silver tier, and I'm going to pick something that's a little bit in between those two. So that would be something like this, and I'm going to hit save. And now to take advantage of these new tiers, I'm going to go into revenue, and I'm going to take that silver tier, and instead of pointing at this global kind of catch-all retention curve, I'm going to point that to the silver and hit save. And I'm going to take the gold, point this to the gold retention curve. And lastly, the bronze option. Okay, I'm going to hit save. And now I'm going to rerun this, and we'll see what effect this has in the forecast. So just click build. And now we're at 36,812 at the end of the period with 47 customers. Still red, but as we view this model, what we can know now is that at the end of this forecast, all this churn that's built into this is dependent on what people sign up for. So if I go back just to illustrate that real quick, under acquisition channels, this inbound traffic goes to a free trial. Our free trials sign up for these certain subscriptions. And so just the customers that sign up for bronze will follow that bronze retention curve, gold, silver, and so forth. So Summit gets a lot more powerful once you start to segment your customers and then segment your retention curves by tier, if you can. And like I said, if you have when someone signed up and if they canceled when they canceled, you can figure out this survival curve or retention curve for that customer base or set. I'm happy to talk about that if you sign up for Summit. Just reach out to me over chat. And the last thing I want to do in this video, the second thing is let's take a look at sales, and specifically sales that involve a kind of a pipeline. So we're going to go under, we're under revenue on the left-hand side. We're going to go under add a pipeline stage. And I'm just going to call this maybe demo presented. People have different ways and religions of labeling pipeline stages. I like to use like a past participle, if you will. Demo presented tells you what you've done to get into this stage. And I'm going to say that the average customer spends 21 days in this stage of the pipeline. And after that, we have a conversion. Since we're trying to sell them on something, we usually don't do a verbal sale for a for a small subscription, right? So we'll do the gold tier. And we'll say that, if we do a demo for somebody, our conversion rate on that is 30%, right? And hit save. Okay, so now I have a pipeline stage event that I can use. And it's going to take leads that go into it, hold them for 21 days, and then send 30% of them to the gold tier. And obviously, you could also split this out if you wanted to and add additional pipeline stages, but we'll save that for a separate video. Just want to show you the basic pipeline stage usage at this point. So now we need to use this pipeline stage. So what I'm going to do is go back under our inbound traffic and say, rather than sending 100% of qualified leads to the free trial, some of them are actually going to reach out to us for a demo, right? And you could argue that they still get a free trial, right? But maybe they get that 21-day free trial or 30-day free trial or just a longer period because you're going to do that demo for them. And let's just make it a big percentage so we can see how it does. And we're going to flow 50% of our qualified leads to that pipeline stage and the other half to self-service free trials. I'm going to hit save and update and hit build again. And you can see how we jump from 36,000 MRR at the end of the period to 53,000. And our number of customers is almost exactly the same. There's always a little bit of kind of vibrations in the model that you see because of things we'll talk about in the future. And I hinted at in the first video, but almost the same number of customers, but we have $17,000 more in revenue by the end of the forecast. Why? Because half of our traffic is going to a sales pipeline stage where we're converting 30% of those demos to our most expensive tier, right? And so it makes sense that if we're now sending half of our qualified leads for our most expensive tier, we're seeing an uplift in revenue. And this is a good example of how you can use Summit to test what would happen if we change the arrangement of the flow of our business. So this is the video today, the tutorial. We covered creating new retention curves or additional retention curves for different revenue plans and how you can get those. And then also how to use this pipeline stage event type. Thanks for tuning in, and can't wait to do another one of these soon. Bye for now.